Okay, this is a general rule when using the distributive property. I'm going to use variables. A times the sum of B plus C equals AB, A times B, plus AC, A times C. So what you're doing in the distributive property is you're multiplying everything inside the parentheses by the number attached outside of the parentheses. So I'm going to draw my little arrows to show me passing that A out, because distribute means to pass out. I'm going to do A times B plus A times C. And when I multiply A times B, I get AB. And when I multiply A times C, I get AC. Now I know you may be thinking that doesn't make much sense with the letters, so let's do an example with actual numbers. Let's do 2 times 3 plus 4. Now, if you're smart, you can look at this expression and say, 3 plus 4, that's 7. So I'm just going to do 2 times 7, and that's going to give me 14, which is correct following the order of operations. But we're going to do this using the distributive property. I'm going to take that 2 and I'm going to distribute it. I'm going to pass it out to everything inside the parentheses, and it's going to be 2 times 3. Bring my plus sign down. Then I'm going to do 2 times 4. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 2 times 4 is 8. When you add 6 and 8 together, you get 14, similar to when you did the order of operations and did 3 plus 4. Let's look at another example when you're multiplying a number times the difference of two other numbers, A times B minus C. Still using the distributive property, I'm going to multiply everything inside the parentheses by the number outside the parentheses. So that's going to be A times B minus A times C. And when I compute that, I get AB minus AC. Let's look at some number examples. This time we're going to do 2 times 4 minus 3. Again, I'm going to distribute that 2 into the parentheses. 2 times 4 minus 2 times 3. 2 times 4 is 8, minus 2 times 3 is 6. 8 minus 6 is 2. Still looking at the distributive property, we're going to add some negatives in here, and I'm going to do A times negative B plus C. That's simply going to be A times negative B plus A times C. A is positive, B is negative. When you multiply a positive and a negative, you get a negative. So this is going to be a negative AB plus AC. Let's look at some examples with numbers. Let's do 5 times negative 3 plus 6. When I distribute that 5 into the parentheses, I'm going to be 5 times negative 3 plus 5 times 6. Again, a positive times a negative is going to give you a negative. 5 times 3 is 15 plus 5 times 6 is 30. Negative 15 plus 30 is going to give you a positive 15. Still looking at negatives, we're going to make that outside number a negative. Negative A times B plus C. This time, we're going to do negative A times B plus negative A times C. Negative times a positive again is going to give you a negative number, plus negative times a positive is also going to give you a negative number. Now, right here, I would go ahead and rewrite the problem. Whenever you have that plus negative, that's going to become 1 minus sign. Okay? Let's look at it in an example and I can show you better with numbers. Let's do negative 4 times 1 plus 2. It's going to be negative 4 times 1 plus negative 4 times 2. Negative 4 times 1 is 4 plus negative 4 times 2 is a negative 8. Now again we have that plus minus, so I'm just going to change that to negative 4 minus 8. Negative 4 minus 8 is going to give you a negative 12. Okay. This time I'm going to do a negative times the difference of two numbers and see what happens then. Okay. I'm going to multiply everything into the parentheses by that number outside the parentheses minus negative A times C. Negative times positive is going to be a negative, minus a negative times a positive is also going to be a negative. Now look right here. You have a double negative. Now when you have a plus negative, it becomes a minus sign. When you have a double negative, it becomes a plus sign. So that's going to be negative AB plus AC. But let's look at an example with numbers. Let's do negative 7 times the difference of 5 minus 2. Okay, I'm going to distribute that 7 into the parentheses. Negative 7 times 5 minus negative 7 times 2. Negative 7 times 5 is going to be a negative 35 minus negative 7 times 2 is going to be negative 14. Here we have the double negative again. We're going to rewrite this as negative 35 plus 14, and negative 35 plus 14 is going to give you a negative 21. Okay. Last example. we're going to have a negative number outside the parentheses and two negative numbers inside the parenthesis. Okay? Negative A is going to get distributed into the parentheses. Negative A times negative B minus negative A times C. Okay? A negative times a negative is a positive. And a negative times a positive again is going to give you a negative. We still have a double negative present, so that's going to become 1 plus sign. Alright, let's look at an example with numbers. Let's do negative 2 times negative 3 minus 4. See what happens. It's going to give you negative 2 times negative 3 minus negative 2 times 4. A negative times a negative is going to give you a positive 6 minus negative times a positive is going to give you a negative 8. That's negative 2 times 4. Again, we have that double negative present. It's going to become 6 plus 8. 6 plus 8 is going to give you 14.